I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please?
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Here.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Here.
Kurtz.
Here.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. We have a slight agenda adjustment to our agenda during the public comment. I'm going to be giving a letter out to one of our officers. So that, if I could have a motion to approve the agenda with that slight change,
So
please.
moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. So we are at public comment. First of all, we don't have anybody that signed in for anything. We don't have anything. Do I need to go up there for this? You can maybe get up twice. Tonight is torture night.
Don't trip on the code of ordinances.
Well, I can, everybody's got the letter, but it's still, I can still read it to them and call them up. If that works. I'll read it.
Because you're the
You're
mayor.
going to shake hands with them.
I know all of you have the letter in front of you. It was placed on the agenda, but I'll just go ahead and read it so that way public has that information. The Independence Police Department believes in the recognition of its officers, their actions, and outstanding efforts and service to the community and their fellow officers. In keeping with this belief, the City of Independence and the Independence Police Department recognize Officer Logan Ludovici for his outstanding effort. On Monday, July 5th of 2021, you responded to a medical call of a person choking in the southwest part of town. You responded with the lights and sirens activated to your patrol car and shooting a fast response to the victim's residence. Upon arrival, you entered the home without hesitation with your primary thought of saving that victim. You immediately located the choking male victim who was in distress and having trouble breathing. You administered the Heimlich maneuver and were able to save this victim and prevent a near-death experience. Officer Ludovici, your quick response, recognition to the severity of the medical emergency, immediate actions, and effective Heimlich maneuver resulted in the life-saving event. A failure to act or action after delay could have led to a more tragic outcome. Therefore, your actions with no doubt deserve to be recognized. So we'll go ahead and just call Officer Ludovici up here.
I don't know how you managed to do that.
This-
That's the official.
That's the official one.
Oh, it's some heavier finger tonight. And do that and shake your hand with this one. How's that? Get in here. Now I have to struggle to get back into my chair again. This could be another 5 minutes.
Thank you.
You, Logan.
Okay, no other public comment. I now need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the July 12th, 2021 regular meeting, Independence Barbecue Special Class C liquor license, and outdoor service, August 25th, 2021 through August 29th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Thank you. Next, I need a motion to approve claims for payment.
I had some questions about our Lynch and Dallas fee. Was that 30,000
Yes.
1 month,
Yes.
and the breakdown was,
Well, the largest portion of that included the investigation fees.
which was 21,
Yes.
right? And the rest of it was just for our meetings and things, or what?
Meetings, we have voluntary annexation in there, we have real estate conveyance, an abstract review, we have the properties on First Street West are included in there.
Can we get an email with the breakdown of that sent to us?
Yeah, we can get you a breakdown of that.
Thank you.
I'd make a motion to approve the claims.
Second.
I do have a motion and a second to approve the claims. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the bank reconciliation. For your information, is there any questions or comments on that? Hearing none. The next one is budget and monthly transfers for your information. Any comments or questions in that area? Hearing none. Next on the agenda is revenue and expenses to date, for your information.
These are very helpful, all three of those. It takes some time, but really, it's eye-opening, especially when you look back at previous years.
Hearing no other comments, I'm going down to voluntary annexation hearing. So first, I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Do you have a motion and a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Do you have a motion and a second to hold the public hearing? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. We are now in public hearing in regards to the voluntary annexation.
This is a request by the Buchanan County Fair Board to annex a portion of the existing fairgrounds property into the city limits. It would be the easternmost portion of the fairgrounds between the Vulcan Civic Center and Snow Enterprises. It goes west as far as the eastern boundary of the racetrack, but does not include anything to do with the speedway. It also does not include any of the fairground buildings. As I recall, I think it stays just east of the buildings that are there. It is basically the bare lot where the horse arena has been, and the proposed event center is to be built.
Where their campers are will become part of the city then?
That is correct. So, I mean, everything from the Civic Center south.
Sure.
So, north and south, it is all of that property.
Okay.
And then from Highway 150, again, to the west, just shy of the racetrack.
Who's been paying for the water usage at the campground up until this date?
The Fair Board has. They pay 1.5 times the water rate.
We charge them.
We charge them, yes.
And so if we annex this in, a campground right now, I think in, I don't know, just Iowa or where, but they have to have a storm shelter.
That would be on them if they have to have a storm shelter beyond what they have currently. They would have, I mean, the regulations don't change whether they're in the city or out of the city that I can see. But our regulations don't have stricter guidelines than what the county does.
And is there just 1 meter up there right now, that's what will stay, or?
I believe that is what they're operating under, is 1 meter for the campground.
And they will continue to take care of the campground in that situation.
That's correct. The only thing that changes is bringing it inside city limits so that we can provide water and sewer to the event center.
And we don't get any taxes off of that?
There are no taxes. I mean, they're a tax exempt property. We do gain stormwater utility fees for this area because it now falls under the stormwater utility, but there are no taxes.
So what benefit is it to the city?
We would gain additional revenue for the sewer charge. currently, we just gained for 1.5 times on the water usage. It's not a money decision, it's primarily based on being able to provide services to the event center.
Would we have better control over their water, stormwater plans if that's annexed into the city?
I'm not sure I would say better control. I mean, we have a little bit more say because they're in the city, so it would fall under our stormwater guidelines, but I think that the state guidelines for how that stormwater is handled is already giving us the latitude that we would need there, but it won't weaken our position on stormwater, no.
But like where the hospital, the creamery, places have put the retention centers, I mean, we've required that, that's not a state requirement.
Right, but they
And
also.
if that wasn't our property, they theoretically wouldn't necessarily have to do that, would they?
They're not allowed to push their stormwater onto city property or onto neighboring properties, whether they're in the city or not, as I understand it, and Brian might know this. Based on the shape of this particular lot, I'm not sure that there's I wouldn't bring that as a reason for us to annex it. I think that the idea with the annexation is they've requested to be in the city, and it's primarily for water and sewer services. And, you know,
I kind of look at it though, it's always, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Whenever it comes to the fairgrounds, it's always, well, you can't tell us it's the county's, and the county says, well, it's not really ours.
right.
I guess I feel more comfortable if it's annexed and then basically they have to, whether they
Wow.
would anyway.
Right.
It always seems like we end up in that position when it comes to something with the fairgrounds.
So the
All of
water
that.
rate will just be actual water now, not the 1.5?
Correct. Correct.
All of what you've just discussed is true, Bob, but I am familiar with their plan, and I will tell you that they have included stormwater to the same level as the Iowa SUDAS specifications, regardless of them being in the county or in the city, that it's a part of their current plan, so, and that's before this annexation takes place.
So I know there are
They-
property owners that are concerned in that area
Yep.
of how
Right.
much water gets pushed that way.
And they're being a good neighbor because that's part of, whether it's required or not, that's part of their current plan. So I just wanted to add that.
It's really a relief considering what we thought we were gonna go through with because that was a water retention area up there behind those buildings where overflow from heavy rains would just sit there until it dissipated.
It occurred that way, that's right.
Yeah.
The problem with the plan is it can change. Just, I've been there with Jim when you were dealing with the county before, Bob. I understand what you're saying. I know.
You're not dealing with the county, you're dealing with the board, the fair board, right? Not the county in general.
Fair board, correct.
It's not the only reason, but a nice caveat.
I agree.
Anyone else have any comments in regards to this, since we're in public hearing? Hearing nothing, I will request a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Second.
Do have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution that approves the voluntary annexation request.
So moved.
Second.
Do have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Callahan?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Scharf?
No.
Kurtz?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Hannah?
No,
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, we're down to a public hearing for the Cdbg Downtown Urban Revitalization Grant application. First, I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of the public hearing.
So moved.
second.
I do have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next, I will need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I do have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing in regards to the Cdbg Downtown Urban Revitalization Grant.
In short, this is giving us permission to file the Community Development Block Grant application for properties in the downtown area, basically from 2nd Avenue Northeast, extending to the southeast, traveling east to the first couple of lots east of 3rd Avenue. And that would be the designated area that we've identified for this application. There are too many property owners interested in this to do it all in one phase, so we are looking at a very possible second phase. There's another agenda item that will help us address that as well. But we've had very good reception on this. And we do need council resolution to apply for it for the federal money.
How does this affect, we've got 2 buildings already downtown that got catalyst grants. What, they wouldn't be eligible to participate in this, or would they?
Very much so. They are eligible. The federal dollars and the state dollars are separate. They're 2 different programs, so they would not preclude each other. However, the Lightsey Building, or Hardig Drug, is not eligible for CDBG because of the 100-year floodplain, and they are just barely in it, but they are not eligible for this program. The other building that we have, and of course on the south side of the street, that would also, roughly where the former Circle 8 Cyclery building was, that's kind of the cutoff on the west edge of this property. Everything west of that line is in that floodplain, so it's not eligible. If we go to the other catalyst grant, Kings Hall, that is, you'll see outside of our identified area for, at least for this phase. So they would not be eligible by virtue of, they're just outside of the area that we've identified for these projects. Not to ignore anybody, it's just that there's only so much money, we can only do so much with the funding that's available and what we have to put into it, so.
From what I read in the infrastructure bill, there's a community betterment grant that's going to be, if it passes, that will be coming down probably in October, November. And that, it sounds almost identical to this as far as the criteria and the.
From my understanding, Mike, I think they're trying to mirror programs that are already in place, so they're not reinventing the wheel.
Right.
I haven't seen enough hard evidence on that to say that's absolutely true, but that would follow suit with, I think, what they've tried to do with a lot of
What
these
I've read and
programs.
talked to different people in DC, that's.
Which would be great, if we can get, 50% on the dollar and then split the other 50% with the property owner. I think it's a pretty good deal all the way around. The proposed designs and what have you in this project are pretty exciting. If we can get this started, it will have a very significant impact downtown.
Now, we're eligible, or we're responsible for 210,000 from this?
Well, plus the architectural costs that go with that. I mean, we have to pay for the architectural fees with Curtis Architecture, and then we have the financial contribution to the construction side of it. So I think our total contribution right now is closer to 400,000 in round numbers, to be fair. But as far as project costs go, depending on the exact buildings they end up with, 25% of whatever that development cost turns out to be. Up to, and it's 250,000 would be our max construction budget from the city. That's 25%. The 25% from the property owners would equal whatever the city puts into the construction budget.
I'd say 2 things here. One, I'm excited so many downtown businesses want to participate. In the past, we've tried projects and the balloon didn't even get off the ground because basically very few downtown wanted to do it. The other thing is I think this is a good step for us because last week I was in Perry and Winterset had been there, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, maybe longer. Those two towns looked like they were dead. And they have really picked it up. The tourism has picked up for the two communities. You know, I think it's a good thing for us to, those are two communities that I think have done similar projects with us.
Any other comments from anybody in the audience or council? Hearing nothing, I will ask for a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a motion and a second to close the hearing? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. The motion is carried. We are now out of public hearing. Next on the agenda is a resolution of necessity to establish the boundaries of the city's Independence Facade Improvement Project area.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second? May I have a roll call on this, please?
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Scharf?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Callahan? Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Third public hearing for tonight. This one is on public hearing for COVID-19 grant. First, I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Do you have a motion and a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I do have a motion and a second to hold the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing in regards to the COVID-19 grant application.
This grant application mirrors the one that we just completed. There's an extra set of funds set aside specifically due to COVID-19 for facade improvements. Mike, similar to the infrastructure bill that you referenced, this is exactly the same as the Cdbg we just finished, but this additional money would allow us to do 2, maybe 3 additional buildings, looking at larger buildings, larger facades, if you will, in the downtown area. They are 2 separate grants. I have to emphasize that we did not want to put them all into the same umbrella in case one gets funded and one does not. But this is an opportunity to expand our impact downtown, and the buildings being looked at are, again, specifically larger facades, whereas the other one, we tried to keep them contiguous and have the impact. Most of the buildings proposed in the Phase 1, the one that you just approved, would be primarily on the south. This one has been discussed using primarily the north side of First Avenue, or First Street between Second Avenue and Third Avenue. So we can get more done without waiting for Phase 2.
Nothing east of Third Avenue on the north side?
Well, again, if you look at the map, if Meesteads have bought the former Lodge building, Joe's Pizza, and around the corner there, the first 3 facades or blocks, if you want to call it that, are included. If I go south of First Street, Jim Peters Building, and west,
Okay.
to give you a rough idea.
Yeah.
We did encroach a little bit east of Third, but not very far, just that, basically that corner for this round. And what we've done is identified that as our, quote, blighted area. You have to declare it blighted through this resolution in order to be eligible for CDBG.
Any other comments from anybody? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. The meeting is closed. And I'm down to a motion to approve a resolution approving a community development block grant application, or am I the wrong
That's the
way?
right one. It's exactly the same as what you just did.
I
It
thought
just
I was
happens to be
repeating myself.
for the COVID application, but again, the verbiage is identical.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, I have, need a motion to approve a resolution granting certain financial assurances.
This is still tied to the CDBG grant. It specifically states that we will commit to a minimum of $210,000 for the CDBG grant. We need to include this with the application, stating that the city is committed to it. We're applying for $400,000 in community development block grant funding for this project. 375 in local funds, 165 of it will originate from the owners of the buildings. We do pick up the balance of those funds.
I'd make the motion to approve the resolution.
Second?
I do have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next is a discussion on the memorandum of understanding with Intercog for this grant.
Intercog has an MOU that is standard for writing the grant. They are not charging us to write the grant. They only charge us if we are successful in securing the grant. And the $30,000 that they would receive for administering the grant comes from the grant proceeds. But again, we only agree to pay that if the grant is successful and funded. It's standard. We have done this MOU with Intercog and other grant applications in the past.
Is this for both of these, or just?
This would be for both.
And
I'm sorry, can we use the COVID for administrative costs?
Well, under this grant, again, it's grant administration, the CDBG allows for administration to come out of the proceeds of that. So, yes, we can use this money. They're calling it a COVID grant, but it's different than the CARES Act or some of these others, in that it's, again, it's identical to the CDBG that we've used in other, the one already approved.
Sorry, John.
And the reason we use Intercog is because they go down to the check boxes and make sure we do everything properly and get everything turned in so we don't get denied at the end.
That's correct. I mean, when we talk about grant administration, they're writing the grant, but then they also have to go through and make sure that we follow Davis-Bacon wage rates on all of the work that's done. They have to inspect the work before and after, file all the reports and what have you. All things that we could do, but quite honestly, that's what they're focused on, and they're much better at it. Because, to your point, John, they know which boxes have to be checked.
Which just brings us down to E, resolution approving the MOU with Intercog.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Second.
Do you have a motion and a second? I would like a roll call, please.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
Next, I need a motion to approve the final consideration and adoption of the ordinance amending ordinance designating an area of Independence, Iowa as the 2018 Independence Multi-Residential Urban Revitalization Area.
Is this the PRES project?
Correct, the workforce housing project.
Have they assured us that we'll get the 96 parking spaces?
Well, they have, because they can't build it without that. I mean, again, per our zoning code, it's not optional. The only way around it would be to go through a potential, I just drew a blank.
Variance.
Variance, thank you. And again, we have not issued variances on parking, whether it be parking stall or size or number of parking stalls. And they would have to show a significant hardship for that. I think the city attorney would tell you that identifying that hardship in Iowa code is,
It's a very high bar for variances.
Right.
the Supreme Court has made it very challenging to get a variance, so. And I apologize, having been on vacation, I did not participate in any discussions. I see Lisa Kramer here. I don't know if she has any other information about that beyond what we put into place for them to purchase land from their neighbor. There was a verbal agreement to that, but that's pretty much where I left it.
That's pretty much where we're at. The grant was submitted last week, so we should find out soon. Everything that we talked about with the parking is the same. Nothing has changed.
I'd make a motion to approve the final consideration and adopt the ordinance.
I'll second it.
Do we have a motion and a second? May I have a roll call, please?
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to approve a resolution approving contract and performance and/or payment bonds for the 6th Avenue Southwest PCC Trail Project.
So moved.
Second?
May I have a roll call, please?
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to approve a resolution authorizing and approving a loan agreement providing for the issuance of $2,770,000 general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2021, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same.
So moved.
Second.
This is one we got the real good bid on, isn't it? Good.
Very good rates on this one.
May I have a roll call, please?
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to approve a resolution authorizing and approving a loan agreement with and providing for the issuance and securing of payment of $1,140,000 water revenue bonds, Series 2021.
So moved.
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Now we're down to a motion to approve a resolution consenting to assignment of development agreement and tax increment payments.
This would be permission from the council to transfer the existing development agreement benefits from Steve G. on his office building to Crawford Engineering on the 3rd Avenue Northeast commercial property.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
No.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, we are down to approving a sign-on bonus for certified police officers. I need a motion to approve a resolution that approves a sign-on bonus of $5,000 for certified police officers.
So moved.
Second.
Did the Johns change So we're not paying certified library people?
Yes, I took that line out.
So this is to try to help us in our hiring process. We've had a hiring process twice now. First go around a month and a half ago, we had 3 people. Out of those 3, we ended up hiring one who we're going to introduce to you tonight and have him sworn in. The other 2 did not pass. We held another testing process here just within the last week, and we had 2 of the same people show up. They did not pass. We had 1 other person. None of them were certified. We didn't end up with anybody with the passing test scores or physical agility to even move forward in the hiring process. So that's why I kind of brought this to you guys' attention in some of our committee meetings, just something to try to compete with some other agencies out there and try to draw in some certified candidates that would be a cost savings to the city.
Well, yeah, the way you mentioned it in the public safety meeting, it's more than a wash. We would actually save money by paying that money up front to somebody that's already certified.
Correct.
Because of the time frame.
Correct.
And they
How
don't
much sooner?
actually receive it until after they've been here a
It would be
year.
yeah, until after they've completed their 1 year of service. We wouldn't hire them and just say, here you go. I mean, we're not
Yeah.
going to pay them and then have them move on somewhere else. We're going to want to keep them for a while before we give them that money.
And how much sooner are they eligible to be on their own as an officer versus somebody that was not a certified officer?
Well, it really kind of depends when you can get that person into an academy. So if you hire somebody, and we're fortunate enough to be able to get our new officer into the academy next month within the matter of a few weeks, we just got lucky. But if you sit on somebody for 6 months before they go to the academy, now by the time they go to the academy for 12, 14 weeks, come back, have to finish up their FTO program, we're looking at a year before they're on the road. Whereas if we have somebody that's certified, it's basically just, okay, this is how we do our reports here, and them learning the city. So it's much faster. I would say you're going to have somebody on the road within 90 days versus a year.
Wow.
So,
So this is well worth the.
right. By all means, we still want to have the best candidate possible. Just being certified is not a magic answer for us, but at least this will entice us to maybe get some more people to apply that are already certified that could be a cost savings for us.
The $5,000 after 1 year ties back to our expenses with the academy and putting somebody there. We generally, and you'll see it here in a little bit, we ask for a 4-year commitment of that estimated $20,000, $5,000 a year forgiven off of that. So it matches. At the end of 1 year, a certified officer given a $5,000 bonus would match in rough numbers what we would forgive off of a loan agreement with a non-certified officer that we send through the academy at the end of the first year. Primarily to show that it's not an arbitrary number.
I'd make a motion to, or we already have, haven't
We have it.
Roll call vote.
I just need to say roll call, please.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, we have, need a motion to approve a police officer certification reimbursement contract for the hiring of a new officer.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Now I need to take another little trip.
I'll have our newest officer, Logan Flack, I'll have him come up here first, just kind of introduce himself so you guys kind of know who he is, and then we'll have you come down, Mayor, and we can do that.
Sounds good.
Hi, how are you guys doing today?
Good.
Good.
Good, good. So, as Captain said, my name's Logan Flack. I graduated in Key High in 2016. I went on to Kirkwood for a criminal justice degree, so I have a 2-year degree in that. I'm currently serving in the United States Army Reserves. I'm out of Cedar Rapids, so I do have that I also do. I'm looking forward to this opportunity to work for the city and be able to help patrol the streets and everything. So thank you for the opportunity of allowing me to do this for you guys.
Happy to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're lucky, Bonnie, he doesn't have a canine unit with him. That's an inside joke.
This is exciting, to do this. I'm going to have you raise your right hand and repeat after me, but I'll let you have one in case you lose your space or whatever, and see myself follow.
All right.
So I state your name,
I, Logan Flack,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all duties of the position of patrol officer
discharge all duties of the position of patrol officer
in the City of Independence,
in the City of Independence,
as now and hereafter required by law.
as now and hereafter required by law.
Fantastic. So you
All
can
right.
take one with you.
All right, thank you.
So we know we have his name on the line, he doesn't take pictures. Can't back out then.
Right. I wouldn't.
Good. So is he gonna be Logan too, since the other one was?
Well, his name's easier to say, so
Yeah.
we could always call him Officer
Thank
Flack, and then the other Logan will just be Logan, because Lewis gets kind of hard to say.
Yeah, that is- I have a somewhere.
True.
Ready, Mayor?
Ready?
Welcome aboard.
Oh. Is that it? No more
Yeah,
pictures?
no.
Oh,
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, it's true.
Logan, do you want to introduce your family to the council?
Yeah. So this is my mom, Tammy.
Hi.
Hey.
My dad, Max.
Hello.
And then my younger brother, Brock.
Hey.
So he's like the future one that we can get in a couple years or so?
No, he's actually gonna be a teacher, so maybe education-wise.
Maybe at the school.
Oh, okay.
I'll be a senior this year, in my elementary.
Good for you.
You and I?
Cornell College.
Well, thank you again for coming aboard. Next on the agenda is Iowa, motion to approve the Iowa DOT addendum to the Highway 150 reconstruction project.
This language in the agreement is very short. The Iowa DOT will reimburse the LPA, the City of Independence, basically, for the total cost of Exhibit A or a maximum of $3.8 million, whichever is less, plus eligible costs of new items of work added by contract modification as approved by the DOT. Go ahead, Brett.
And that last part is the important part there. This is kind of the final step of the change order that we discussed last month. Your funding agreement was limited to that $3.8 million prior to this, but they have asked you to complete additional work on behalf of the DOT, and so therefore this is the agreement that allows them to reimburse you for that extra work that they requested be added to the contract.
Boy, that is nice. Thank you.
I'd make the motion to approve it.
Second?
Do you have a motion and a second? May I have a roll call, please?
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes,
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Last item on the agenda is motion to approve a business associate agreement with the Buchanan County Health Center.
This is the agreement that formalizes the, in essence, the agreement to work with Buchanan County Health Center on providing security services with off-duty officers who would be paid at an on-duty rate as established by the city. So whatever the rate is that we incur, because they'd obviously be at an overtime rate, but they need to be on duty at the time they're providing these services because of the type of security they're providing. So in essence, it's an overtime rate with the benefits calculated. They just asked us to have this agreement signed between both parties, further solidifying that agreement.
I'd make a motion to approve it.
They'll go by their overtime.
It has to go by their overtime per our collective bargaining agreement. Because they have to be on the clock when they do this, that's automatically going to,
They can't be called in. I mean,
well, yeah, they can be called in, but it's going to be at an overtime
Yeah.
rate. They're already
Right.
scheduled for their 40 hours. Anything over that is overtime, if they're on our clock. This is not them moonlighting for somebody else. They're actually on duty with the department, if they choose to take that assignment.
This is a voluntary call-in, though. They don't, it's not mandatory.
Correct. It is voluntary for those that choose to do it, should they need it. From our understanding, it's not a routine call-in, but it does happen from time to time. They have somebody that they have to have security detail for, maybe for an extended period of time. But again, they're reimbursing us at our full cost, including the benefits of the officer for that time.
The county's already doing this, right?
That's correct.
I second the motion.
Roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. We are down to reports. I don't think there was any committee reports of any kind. Any of the ones that you guys are liaison person on? Do you have anything? Water, trail, anything? Okay. Anything, let's see, the only, Brian, do you have anything else for the police department that you'd like to share?
Just to pass on, since I know we won't be having another meeting before then, the food pantry is going to be putting on a personal cares drive at the Fairway on August 7th. They're going to be there handing out personal care items and such to the people that need that in the community. And Sergeant Isley with our department has volunteered his time to be there, and has also reached out to other members of our department to see if anybody else wants to volunteer to help with that. It's going to be from 9 to 1 on that day, on August 7th. So if anybody knows anybody in need or anything that they want to donate or anything, to get a hold of the food pantry.
So we could take it down there before the 7th, and then it would just be distributed on the 7th?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Anything from the fire department back there, Blake? Nothing? Okay.
I have something, Bonnie. Benita. I don't know if Steve wants to answer this or Al, but I was approached by a small group of people. Just, I know the procedure, but I wanted from somebody else to tell them. They wanted to know why, a while back, we didn't give the police chief his raise. And then a while later, then it gets back on the agenda. Their question was, you just put things on the agenda when you wanted to get it through, you just do that? I said, no, there's a procedure. I explained it to them as best I could, without any mentioning names, so explain it to the public. Probably Steve would probably be more apt to do it.
Well,
But it don't matter, I mean, we all know, but the public doesn't know. See what I'm saying? Not all of them.
I think I would defer to anybody in the public that wanted to have that conversation. I would do that offline. I don't think this is the appropriate place for that discussion. I appreciate what you're asking,
Yeah,
but I don't have a,
And I didn't mention any names, I just know there is a procedure, I mean, I've been through it before, but they,
the question is, when do we put things on the agenda, or why was that particular topic handled that way?
why was it put on, voted down, and then put back on and voted across?
I think you received some advice from legal counsel as to the appropriate process to handle that particular situation.
Yeah, well, I just, they deserve an answer. And I'll just put it this way, if they want to call you personally,
I'm
you would tell
welcome
them.
to, I'm welcome to have
I
that
told them,
conversation.
without using anybody's name, because I know the procedure, and I think they understood it, but I get that kind of look like, huh? So I want to leave it this way. If they have any further questions,
Please have them call me.
okay.
I endorse Al's response.
was that masked man?
And could I have a second?
You
I
certainly
wasn't
can. You
prepared
don't,
earlier.
you don't usually get to respond, so.
Well, after Deb brought up the matter of the invoices, there's one of those that I don't look at, so that number surprised me. And when I went back and looked, that's a pass-through reimbursement expense to the different firm that did the independent investigation, which lasted quite a while. So there was not a bill for Holly's time on that matter for the $21,000 was something that we fronted. We paid the bill, and then we're seeking reimbursement. Just wanted to clarify that, which puts it more in line with what you would expect for a month of work for the City of Independence. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Suzie, do you have anything in addition? Al?
I will just point out that I did receive notice last week of a planned increase from Waste Management for their services. It's their annual increase. It doesn't have a percentage, but I believe it's limited to 5% per their contract. But we did get notice that that will go into effect in September.
So the billing will increase 5%?
I believe that's I don't have the percentage in the notice they sent me, and I didn't get a chance to go back to the contract to find out what it is, but it is specified in the contract what that amount is, and it's either 3 or 5%. I'm thinking it's 5%.
That's pretty hefty. That's a hefty.
I think originally it was 3, though. I think you're right, Al.
And it might, again, my numbers could be wrong. I don't want to mislead you.
Yeah, no. I think it was, and then we had the fuel thing, and
Right.
which is good. It could have changed, but I was thinking that's what it was.
Well, I think it's the same
Okay.
But this,
agreement.
they have to give a certain day notice for the
Correct.
contract in September.
They have to
They're
tell us
just
that
letting
it's going
know.
up. They simply didn't give me the amount that it was going up.
Yeah.
They just provided notice, and I wanted to make sure I let you know and the public know that that is going up effective in September. It's a fairly standard annual increase, not a big surprise. I will remind you that when we renegotiated this agreement a year ago, that got a lot softer at that point, so, again, not a big surprise, but make
So
sure you're
that
aware.
could be
And that-
open to other garbage companies to do that? Or not?
No, the contract is in effect. This is we call it cost of living for staff. It would be their cost of providing services. There's an escalator built into their contract. So that's already in place. It does not open the contract up for others.
Because that contract was for what, 3 years or 5 years, 3 years?
I have to go back and look, Deb. I think it's 3 years with renewals.
It's good money if you can get it. How many other,
Lots of
Well, I-
expenses are going up.
well, everybody's are, but not everybody can put an automatic escalator into their,
Remember the cost of fuel, too. It's way
I know.
high.
for
See-
everybody.
See, in that, when we first did it, I don't know if it's still like that, Al, but it was, diesel was quite high at the time. And it was approaching, the mark was when it hit $4 and about, that's where the mark was.
Right.
And and we've been thankful in the last few years, it's been down, approaching, but I don't know if that ever got changed or not. I think it was still $4, Al.
It's still in the contract. Again, I apologize, I don't have the contract in front of me, but I can look real quick here, but not a lot of the verbiage changed in the contract. I expect that, well, I know there's still a fuel escalator in there. I don't know what the threshold is. Off the top of my head, I think that sounds right. But the annual increase that's built into it, not uncommon for a contract like this,
No.
but we did receive notice. I think that's the takeaway is we received notice that they're going to increase per their contractual rights on the fee structure.
Maybe we should explain to the public too why we continue to stay with Waste Management based on the previous agreements with the old dumps,
On the landfill?
correct. Doesn't there have to be, based on that agreement, didn't there have to be a station, a transfer station, or?
That would predate me, but I believe there was a requirement that they maintain a transfer station here in town. We are still beholden to those landfill closure fees and, that liability that goes with it. So you have those both that tie into our existing contract with Waste Management.
Well, and that's what Waste Management does, is they indemnify us for wherever they're taking our waste. So over 15, 20, 25 years, we could pay a lot more than what we're paying now just in testing and watching the landfill. I forget what we pay Buchanan County landfill yet. That was supposed to be 10 years, and I think that was about 10 years ago.
It's gonna be a lifetime, Bob.
No, next year they're looking at reducing and paying back some of that money they have in the bank.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
the landfill people, the committee is.
Well,
And the landfill committee
Because-
is local folks, it is not.
oh, yeah.
Because of the number of years that has been in place, so. Anyone else have anything they would like to bring up from the council?
Yeah, I had one thing. I had somebody give me it's not a parking ticket because it's not from the police officers, it's from the post office. And they were parked 19 feet from a mailbox. And they were told that they need to be 20 feet or they'd be getting a ticket. How does anybody know when you pull up to a mailbox if you're 19 or 20 feet behind it without those being marked?
Who was the notice from? The post office themselves?
There's a post office and put on their windshield.
Maybe you need to take it up with them.
Well, it says vehicles will be ticketed, thanks, it says. But can we mark those somehow? We marked all these things downtown. Then you get into an issue of some of these mailboxes, the post office doesn't even drive up to them.
Right. So if the post office puts something like that out there, it has happened from time to time where they'll call our department and we'll go look at it. And honestly, if I step off 20 feet and I'm at 19 or 18, we're not issuing a citation. There's still officer discretion, 19 feet to 20 feet, you're talking 12 inches, that's, if the post office were to call our department to have an officer go out there, we would not be issuing a citation on somebody's vehicle.
So would you know if they got called on something like this?
From time to time, we do get called from the post office for parking violations, nothing recently. So it was probably the mail carrier at the time decided that they were gonna do that in hopes that, and maybe there's something going on with that particular spot where it's been a frequent thing and it's not just the only one time, but who's to say what was actually going through that mail carrier's mind at the time that they put that on the
There
window.
must have a
But-
tape measure.
But yeah, we don't bring out a tape measure, and I would literally just step off 20 feet, and there's no way that one of our officers would put a citation on there at 19.
Yeah, it wasn't
I can
officers,
guarantee
it
you
was
that.
post office.
Yeah.
It's not that big a distance just in front of people's personal parking or post office or mailboxes along the road.
Yeah.
You don't have to be 19 feet from them to park.
From the mailboxes on the road, yeah. Yep.
In residential
20
areas?
Yes, on 20 feet on the other side, that way it allows that mail carrier's vehicle to get in there to be able to put that mail in the mailbox.
This needs to be written out a little bit more though, because there's some mailboxes that they walk up and deliver it. So the vehicle doesn't make a difference if there's vehicles there. Then some people will complain that somebody parked in front of their mailbox on Sunday or after hours or holidays. And it's just very vague, what we have on here. It just talks about the 20 feet and that's it. So,
Yeah, and that's what city ordinance is just 20 feet, but if it's on a Sunday, the only time our officers would go over there would be if it was on a Sunday or whenever, if we had a public complaint or somebody in the neighborhood complaining about it, then our officers would go over there, but 9 out of 10 times, I'm gonna go up to the door, knock on the door and talk to the person and say, hey, could you move your vehicle? It is in violation. I understand that it's Sunday, but obviously one of your neighbors must have an issue with it or a problem with it, but could you just please move it and take care of it that way? It's just treating people like that with respect.
okay, thank you.
While we're on the subject of parking, I would like to congratulate the street department on getting those parking spaces marked downtown. It's gonna really organize parking a lot better down there, and I think we'll pick up some more parking spaces.
Right.
For people with great big trucks, you might wanna use the back lot.
I also had a few people.
Or plug
say
2
thank you
meters.
for, putting that tree sap, whatever they put on off the end of Sixth Avenue. A few people that live there in that residence enjoyed it, and some of the Prairie Hills staff and employees because I guess they get quite a bit of that dust too, so they asked if I would tell the street department thank you, so. That's it.
We'll pass that on to Todd and his crew.
Yep.
Very quickly, Carl, I commend you for your memory. It is 3%, and the fuel escalator is based on weekly retail on-highway diesel prices for the Midwest region, and $4 is the threshold, the trigger. So,
Okay.
Anyone else? I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you all.